Welcome into Game Changers.
Where's Goldie? He's like, well, where's Waldo?
Goldie decided to just
do this. Saskatchewan right now?
Do this from home, believe it or not.
Oh, you're at home?
He's at home.
You're in Weston?
Well, you know what's happened here, okay? And I didn't want to say anything a couple of weeks ago. But after what Tua went through last year with his contract and the Dolphins, remember he didn't participate on day one, and things really didn't go well, and all of a sudden they signed him.
Yeah.
So I felt like I should stay away from the studio a little bit for contract.
There you go. Little leverage, guys, you got. Little leverage.
I don't want to make it like I'm Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't have Skylar Thompson behind you.
I'm not, well, that'd be good for me, actually. I'm not Tyreek and saying, I don't want to be on the show. I'm tired of you guys. But, you know, I got to do what I got to do. So I'm happy to join you remotely.
That's all right.
He acts this way now. But
pushing his weight around.
But like Tyreek, he will go on an apology tour pretty soon, I'm sure, as well. So we look forward to having you back here one day, Goldie. Now, of course, we're going through studio changes here at the station.
Remember, Tehran's coming back. Tehran's coming back. Well, you can be bumped easily when Tehran comes back. So can I.
Phasing you guys out. Well, you know what? We kind of mentioned the Super Bowl there, Tyreek Hill in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It was a fun week to watch everything happen. You had the Super Bowl. You had the Eagles win handedly.
Yeah.
It was a blowout. Kendrick Lamar's performance has been hotly debated, and that got us thinking, who are the biggest winners and losers of Super Bowl week, Super Bowl weekend? Goldie, I'll give you a chance to think about it.
Are we going right out to the whiteboard?
We're going right to the whiteboard.
Okay, so me first?
You first. No need to bury the lead here.
Okay, so I'm going to make this easy. Kenneth Lamar was the winner. Kenneth Lamar was the big winner. Huh?
Who?
Kenneth Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar?
Oh, that's his name? Well, okay. Maybe I'll change it.
No.
It was Kenneth Lamar.
That was a joke, right?
Kenneth Lamar was the big winner. I erased it. Kenneth Lamar. The biggest loser, Bruno, our cameraman.
Why?
He put all his money on Kansas City. He went down like a plane. Well, I don't want to say something like that, but he went down like a blimp getting shot a hole in it.
I'm stuck on Kenneth Lamar. I can't believe that. So you like the
look,
performance?
I knew as much about his name as I did about the songs that he sang.
Id you understand the beef between him and Drake, and that's what it was all
I
about?
did afterwards. I had to read about it in the newspaper. I didn't know you made songs with beefs about different people that are singing songs.
Track. He won Grammys for this diss track.
Wow, diss track. What's that?
A diss track is like when you go on radio and like make fun of me or Goldie or something. Wow. You know.
I was hoping to see Bing Crosby come back and do something.
Who?
I'm a little out of touch. Let's put it that way.
Goldie, do you want to give
That's Kenneth right there?
That's Kendrick.
Oh.
Kenneth might be maybe his long lost brother or something, but no, that is Kendrick Lamar. Goldie, please save us here.
What's the guy's red stuff there?
I don't know. It's a whole thing on on that show Squid Game.
Goldie's a lot more hip than I am, so
I feel like you guys should have ironed this out. Yo, Bo, you can't go. You know you got no flow. I mean, you guys should have taken care of this before the show.
You know, Jim Barry would be very impressed with you right now.
Of course. Yeah. So of all the people in the Super Bowl, everything that happened, Bo goes with our camera guy and some guy that doesn't exist.
Right, right. A guy who was not in New Orleans and a guy who isn't even walking planet Earth. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go with I'll give you the loser first, okay? And I'm very reluctant, but I'm going to go with Travis Kelce. I feel like the luster got off of him a little bit. You know, he looked kind of slow. And for some reason, those people booed poor Taylor Swift. I was very disappointed by that. Like, what has she ever done to anybody? Like, people are just angry now, and people are waiting for an excuse to kind of trash the two of them. So I'm not happy about it. But, yeah, Travis came out as, to me, the loser. Now the winner, I'm going to go to the top of the Philadelphia Eagles, the general manager, Howie Roseman. This guy is a lawyer by trade.
Right.
He went to law school. He walks in there to the NFL front office, and he takes a look from 30,000 feet, and he says, how do I build this thing? Well, number one, 50% of the quarterbacks that are picked in the first round are busts. So I'm going to take my quarterback in the second round, Jalen Hurts. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And then how do we do the best job of protecting him and get to their quarterback? I'm going to get as big as nasty, as snarly, as mean as I can on my offensive line and my defensive line. And now you're going to have the whole league trying to do what Howie Roseman did there in Philadelphia and build this team that way. And by the way, just about everybody is back. They got a great chance to get there again.
You're absolutely right, Goldie. I mean, Howie Roseman, he's got to be the best general manager in the league right now. Look, he gets Becton, moves him inside, gets that guy that played rugby somewhere, never played football, drafted him, and he becomes a great player on the left side. And I tell you, he's over the last 5 or 6 years, he's done a remarkable job with this Philadelphia Eagle team.
I love
remarkable.
I love how much of an old school feel it has. It's like build it from the trenches out, get the good running back, lean on that, and then from there you have the big possession receiver. You have that one flyer and a Devontae Smith, and then of course the running back and Saquon Barkley.
Look at that. Now you got to throw Vic Fangio in there. Didn't blitz the whole night.
Don't need to.
And buried Pat Mahomes. Buried Pat Mahomes from day one, from the first snap of the ball.
Six times. All right, I'm going to give you guys my winners and losers here. And Goldie, I'm going to start with you and the losers. And I'm going to go with Swifties, and I'm going to include you in the parentheses there.
I'm a loser?
Well, hear me out.
Hold your wrist up so we can see your Swiftie.
Hear me out. Right. Because Taylor Swift gets shown one time.
Yeah, that's all?
And she gets booed.
Yeah.
And as you know, as Goldie mentioned, Travis Kelce did not have a good night. So all the Swifties, all the people who tuned in for those two, got shortchanged on a big epic night. Winner is James.
How because I like Travis and I like Taylor Swift, I'm a loser out of the Super Bowl? Is
that because that's the only reason you were watching the Super Bowl.
Oh, you said you're the loser?
Yeah, he's in the Swifties. He's in the Swifties.
Not after you laid down that track early in the show. You can't be a loser.
If you drew a Venn diagram of football fans and Swifties and people who watch the Super Bowl, Goldie's on the Swifties side of the Venn diagram.
By the way, didn't it look like they put Taylor Swift in a shoddy little cheap?
That stadium's like 80 years old.
A little bar, like that wasn't a very good suite. Not a good suite.
Not up to Steve Goldstein's Taylor Swift standards. You know what I mean? Winner though, Jameis Winston all week on all the broadcasts. I mean, this guy, he has cemented his post football career whenever he is done.
He's done already, so he
had a lot of fun. You better be careful. He may be a Dolphins backup quarterback.
He was just starting his career at the Super Bowl.
Listen, he was a lot of fun to watch, and on top of that, he asked A.J. Brown on Media Day, would you do the cha-cha slide if you scored a touchdown? A.J. Brown scores a touchdown, and A.J. Brown does the cha-cha slide to give Jameis Winston a nod. How about that's pretty good. That's having a pretty good day.
He was driving like a pedicab around town.
Yeah. Was he?
Yeah.
What's a pedicab?
Yeah, he was.
That's where and lazy guys like you sit in the back.
The cycling thing. He made a big name for himself.
I was going to say a rickshaw, but
don't they have those around Hard Rock Stadium still? They charge like $25 to go 5 minutes.
I wouldn't know.
Bo has no idea since he parks right on top of the stadium with his special pass. Kim Bocamper has no idea about that. Who knows it?
Yeah. By the way, it was cool to see Serena. I know with the whole Kenneth Lamar Drake beef.
I like seeing Serena. I thought she danced really well, but where'd she fit in up that show? How'd that work? What was that all about?
Google the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. That's all I'll say. Just Google that and Serena.
Well, they just push her in there?
And you'll start to connect the dots. That's all. That's what I'm gonna say. But Kendrick, not Kenneth. Remember.
Yeah, I like Kenneth.
All right. And now, I mean, now Leo's just rolling all the video at the moment. See, here's the other, Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Of course, she's getting commercials out of the whole thing.
He looks like the guy when you go into a restaurant and you think he's the uncle and she's the niece.
Right.
Right? That's kind of what that looks like with.
Hey, the best part of that picture, guys, is that Bill Belichick has won so many Super Bowls. She had to take one of the rings. He didn't have enough fingers.
He had to give it to her.
She had a ring on.
He
didn't have enough fingers for the rings.
That had to be uncomfortable, but a really good uncomfortable for Bill Belichick, right? Walking around with all those rings.
I'm just going to leave this one alone. We're going to come back on Game Changers. The Heat trade happened. Jimmy Butler's gone. How does it make you feel? We're going to talk about it for one more week, guys. Can't let it go just yet. We'll be right back.
Big first game.
Welcome back to Game Changers. Mike Cunio, Kim Bokamper, Steve Goldstein. I didn't get to do my traditional introduction because
what's that football
again,
behind Goldie? Is that you score a touchdown up in New Jersey somewhere? Or?
Who scored a touchdown? Me?
That football behind your yeah.
Dan Marino signed that football for me. That's one of my prized possessions.
Okay. I thought,
yeah.
What are you doing? Asking for autographs in the locker room now? What are we doing?
This was so long ago. Okay, back when Dan first retired. So we're going back 25 years. I forget how it happened, but he signed a ball for me, and I've kept that football. Now I didn't show you guys this.
Ooh.
A new addition to the set right here. My own Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Does it have your name engraved on it?
Yeah, on the back. Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Yes, it does.
You go.
How much stuff are you going to take from the Panthers? They give you a ring. They give you a mini Stanley Cup.
Right.
Anything else?
And they give me a paycheck.
One thing I know about Goldie, you leave something laying around, it ain't going to be laying around for long.
Like food. Hey, do you think George is going to miss this if I eat it? Yeah, no. Go ahead. Help yourself. All right, listen, the trade happened. It finally did. Jimmy Butler, he's off to Golden State. In return, Miami gets Andrew Wiggins, a couple other players, Davion Mitchell, Kyle Anderson. Guys, after watching Jimmy Butler make his debut, go out there and score 20-plus points.
Yeah.
After watching the first game with the Miami Heat with their new trio, and they lose by about 20-plus points to the Celtics, how are we feeling? Goldie, I'll start with you. How are we feeling after the trade?
I'm still okay with it.
Yeah.
I still think they got what they could get. And you got to give Eric Spoelstra a little bit of time. You got to give Wiggins a little chance to fit in. Look, everybody knows, okay? Pure talent, forget everything else. Jimmy Butler's the best player, the most talented player in the trade. But the Heat were backed into a big corner. So I will tell you this, and I said this last week, whether it's right or wrong, I'm rooting against the Golden State Warriors. I don't want the thing to work, but I do want to see what happens after a little bit of time when Eric Spoelstra starts digging in here and working particularly Wiggins in there. But to your point, Mike, it wasn't great. Golden State wins. The Heat get blown out. And, not a great beginning to the post-Jimmy Butler era, but there's a long way to go.
What Jimmy scored, 25?
Yeah.
25 points. And you knew he was going to do – you knew he wasn't going to go in there and limp in with 8 points. He wanted to stick it to the Heat and say, hey, this is what you're missing here. But the question I have for him, it's a 5-hour flight to get to San Francisco. How the hell did it take him like 6 days to get into a game? I mean, same with Wiggins. It used to be you'd get traded today, and by that afternoon, you're practicing with the other team. Now they take the tour around the world or whatever and go in, and especially Jimmy. And he's going to have a lot of competition out there because San Francisco is a coffee city. It's a coffee city, and he's going to have a little more pressure on that coffee business of his.
I love whenever we bring up a disgruntled superstar, it turns into a back in my day segment with you.
What is a back in my day?
Back in my day, when you get traded, you suit up and play that day.
You're darn right.
Exactly.
You're darn right.
Well, it took Jimmy a little time.
It's a new generation, Goldie.
These kids
100%.
these days, they're the worst.
By the way, in all the trades, how about the debut for Luka? Out in LA, it's like a rebirth of the franchise, and what LeBron James is doing right now at his age, this is unprecedented. I'm really, really curious to see how those two.
Well, I tell you, this is going to be like the fountain of youth for him, because Luka will dish to him all the time, and between those two, I mean, look, you put those two guys on any team in the league, they're going to have an opportunity to get to the final series, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
How about on the flip side? Anthony Davis looks great for 3 quarters with the Mavericks, and then gets hurt, and now he's out for weeks. And this was as soon as the trade was
a surprise to you?
As soon as the trade was made, everyone said, this is going to happen. Yeah, well, Zion enjoying New Orleans, as many do. It was great. But just back to Jimmy Butler. Watching him go out there, it did look like playoff Jimmy. And I missed that for a second. You almost take for granted because he played so few games down here over the last few years that you're just like sad. You're sad that's what he still has left in the tank, and he didn't want to do that here.
You're sad because you saw the games where they're playoff Jimmy.
Yeah.
Where boy he just took over the game and he could still be doing it right here.
Yeah.
And so and look, I don't know how long he's going to last in the Bay Area. But I mean, he's going to come out and play really well for that, at least for the rest of this season.
He's going to last at least another 2 years to the tune of $120 million.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be happy and just fine.
But Andrew Wiggins, he's a nice guy.
Very nice guy. In fact, we did a story this week at the game. There was a 99-year-old fan going to her first Heat game ever. Yeah. Andrew Wiggins saw her, stopped and said hello.
Nice.
So it was very you got a glimpse into at least a little bit of the person that the Heat got, which
and then he went out and scored 7 points.
9 points in 29 minutes.
You guys are just really harsh, man. I mean,
you're back home sitting there. You don't have. You can't
must be nice for you to judge us from your lazy boy there.
See, and Cunio, I saw your story on the 99-year-old fan who had moved to Miami, became a Heat fan. I was about to say what a wonderful job you did on the story, but you know what? I'm not going to say it now because you took a shot at me.
Well, I knew you were thinking it, and that's all that matters.
That's it.
Go ahead, subscribe to my Instagram page, and share if you will. All right, still to come on. What's that?
How do you do that, Lexi?
I'll show you. I'll show you in the break. Still to come on Game Changers. Hockey takes an international feel with the Four Nations. We're going to get Goldie's opinion on what's happening with the Panthers in this. Welcome back to Game Changers. I just feel Bo Camper about to say something.
I'm not saying anything.
I don't know what it is. I just had a feeling coming back from break. You had something locked and loaded. But Goldie, I want to talk some hockey. We got the Four Nations tournament starting up here, and there's
it beats that MLS shield that they threw at us.
They threw at us like they tortured you with it, like they held you down and held your eyes open to watch it. There's a Panther player on every team in this tournament: Sweden, Canada, the United States, and Finland. How is Paul Maurice, Goldie, handling this? Does he tell the Panthers, Kachuk, I swear if you take a shot at Barkov, I'm going to suspend you 3 games? How are they handling this?
Well, it's interesting. It's Saturday morning before the final game before this tournament. I asked Paul Maurice exactly that. You're going to be watching this, or you're going to be nervous, just hoping the guys make it. And, he's kind of an old school guy, a hockey guy, so I think he goes with the opinion, you can get hurt in practice.
Yeah.
So, you got Bennett and Reinhardt on Canada. You got Kachuk on the United States. You got Barkov and all those Finns. You got Forsling on Sweden. I don't think this tournament, Mike, is going to be overly physical because you got the best players, and it's going to be about puck possession and skill for the most part. And none of these guys want to get hurt in this tournament. I think it's going to be intense, but I don't think it's going to be dirty and nasty. But sure, if there's a race to the corner for a free puck and it's Kachuk against, Alexander Barkov, you'd like as little contact as possible. But I do think that overall, and we see this a lot when guys go to, all-star games and tournaments, that just being in that kind of setting with so many other great players in a locker room and getting the confidence, especially guys like Anton Lundell, confidence knowing you belong with those types of players, it's probably going to be beneficial for the Panthers. And it's not a ton of games from a rest standpoint. It's not an overly strenuous schedule.
I'm going to say this, and I'm not taking a shot. It's not like the play-in tournament. It's not like the in-season tournament with the NBA. It's not the Shield thing for the MLS. This has more of an Olympic kind of a feel to me, because you got guys playing for their country. They're going to want to play for their country. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to be go out and and try to put somebody on the boards. Well, they're going to do it, but they're not going to go overboard on it. But so let me ask you a question, Gold. How do they pick the countries that are going to participate?
Well, there's an interesting one. Obviously, we all know even next year in the Winter Olympics, which will be in Italy, Russia and Belarus are not going to be welcomed by the IIHF. Yeah. So, United States and Canada, they're going to be in every tournament, as we know. And the Finns and the Swedes, the game continues to grow there. You have enough great players where it's competitive. You probably have some people with the Czechs that say, hey, we have enough players. But you look at the best hockey players and the best hockey programs, it's Canada, it's the United States, and then you throw in the way the game is growing. The ratings for NHL games in Finland and Sweden really is off the charts, and those are usually the teams, maybe along with Russia, that are the top 5, and in all those competitions when they're all there. So I believe that's how they settled on these 4.
I think it's very cool. I'm excited. I love any time whether it's a World Cup or Olympics. The national pride stuff to me is great, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching this game with like my hand over my eye and just kind of saying, "Oh no, please do not hurt any." Sam Bennett. I mean, you can only hope to contain him. I mean, he's out there. He just sees red out there. You know, I'm worried about Sam Bennett doing something.
No, I'll tell you this, Mike. Sam Bennett was a guy that Lightning coach John Cooper is coaching Canada. As the coach of the team, he made the case that he wants Sam Bennett on this team for all the things that you just saw. You talk about a guy that makes an impact in these playoff series on the opposing coach. Sam Bennett did that in those Tampa series.
Yeah, see, that's what I love.
Someone's got to mix it up.
I love it, and I hate it all at the same time for the Panthers. Should be fun though. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here on Game Changers. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's on his way out of New York. We'll discuss what that means next. Yeah. All right, we're wrapping things up on Game Changers. It's funny how much big NFL news happened Super Bowl Sunday. Deebo Samuel apparently wanted to trade from San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers apparently on his way out.
Don't you feel bad for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, it's amazing those two things. Those would be week-long headlines in the NFL, but they get buried Super Bowl Sunday. But I'll start with you here. Aaron Rodgers, his time in New York appears to be over with. What did the Aaron Rodgers New York Jets experiment do to his football legacy?
I don't think he'll be seen as the same way he was had he just ended his career last year. Because he went in and look, if he'd have gone in there and he basically was the straw that really ruined that football team. He had 2 good games. Unfortunately, they're both against the Dolphins. And other than that, he was really worthy. He was more of a scoundrel on that football team than he was someone that was there to want. And you'd watch him, yelling at players and just showing his disgust with these players. And then he goes on the Pat McAfee show and starts, chirping on there. So I don't know who's going to pick him. Someone's going to pick him up. But I don't think there's a lot of bullets left in that barrel.
Goldie, what do you think of his legacy now? And to Bo's point, is there a team out there that's going to pick him up as a starter?
I think it's, first of all, I'll take the first one first. I think short term, the legacy is in the dumps, but I do think 10 years from now, when you look back on him, he'll get his due as being the great quarterback that he was, because there's a lot of players in the NFL that were great players. They went somewhere else. Now, he's a little different because of the pain in the neck that he was. It wasn't only performance related, so it's a little bit different. Second part is, Mike, I'll tell you what, and I don't like the guy, okay? And we talked about this time last year. He can't play more than 8 or 10 games a year physically. I don't think anybody signs him as a starter, but boy, would he be an intriguing guy to be a high-quality backup quarterback if he's okay with that. Because if you get a guy that goes down, okay, and we see that here, for 5 or 6 games, and you got Aaron Rodgers walking in and you're a pretty good team, you're going to have a great chance to win half those games. I'm not talking about all the other stuff. I'm just talking about wins and losses and performance.
I know, but you said if he could sit back and do that. If you got a quarterback that's not playing well, not injured, and he's sitting there, he's going to be a big disruption in that locker room. I guarantee you.
And that'll leak into the fan bases too, because if your quarterback has a couple bad games, how are you supposed to leave Aaron Rodgers on the bench and not have a public QB controversy within your fan base and the pressure that comes with that? That's why I think if he goes somewhere, he has to be like the starter. Or the fill guy until they draft someone, maybe like a Pittsburgh.
But I'll say this, Mike, he can't play a full season. We've learned that the last time he's 40-something years old. So if you're going to go with the starter, you're probably a bad team. And he on a bad team, as we've seen the last 2 years, he won 4 games in 2 years. Now, I agree with what you guys are saying. The fans, the media, it would be a circus. But
is it better than the Toronto Argonauts?
But what is better, okay? Having no backup quarterback and having the 5 or 6 games your starter missed literally cost you the season, or dealing with fans and media stirring it up.
I'm going to say no backup quarterback.
You're talking about the Dolphins season?
I'm talking about any team.
Well, I mean, this
where
year.
you're
This last year, the Dolphins season.
I will tell you this. The Miami Dolphins go to forget all the circus around it. If Aaron Rodgers comes in and plays when Tua got hurt that Thursday night against Buffalo, the Miami Dolphins probably make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all.
I got you.
Yeah, 2 wins away from doing it probably.
They win 3 or 4 of those games that Tua missed, don't they?
Yeah. All right. Speaking of the elderly, let's wrap this up and let's show our girl Marie, who's 99, May 25th. She's turning 100. She made it to her first Heat game. If you see her out there, make sure you say hello.
There you
Happy
go.
birthday, and
There
let's
you
go
go.
Heat. Let's end today's show on a high note. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.